Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
The world does not care for your limits, your pain, or your excuses. It only bows to those who exceed what is expected, who crush the boundaries that others place upon them. Weakness whispers to you, begs you to stop, to settle for less. But you were not made to settle. You were made to rise, to push beyond what others think is possible. Do not wait for the world to demand more. It never will. Demand it from yourself, and in doing so become something the world cannot ignore. Comfort is the enemy of power. Each time you rest in what you have achieved, you let your fire cool, you let your edge dull. You think you've done enough, but enough is a lie, a trap for those who are too afraid to push further. What you have now is nothing compared to what you could have, what you could be if you demanded more. Every second wasted in complacency is a second stolen from your potential, from the fire that burns within you. Demand more, not because you need it, but because you can. The self is a brutal master, but only when you let it be. Weakness resides in the mind, in the soft corners where you let yourself believe you have given everything. But there is always more to give. Always. Dig deeper. Tear through the walls you have built around yourself. You think you are at your limit, but your limit is a lie. Something you created to protect yourself from the pain of becoming greater. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the proof that you are growing. Demand more from yourself and let that pain forge you into something unbreakable. The world is relentless, and it will destroy anyone who is not prepared to meet it with equal ferocity. If you do not demand more from yourself, the world will demand it for you. And when that happens, it will take everything. Do not wait for the storm to come to test your strength. Build it now. Push yourself now. Demand that you become stronger, faster, sharper. Each day you delay, the world gains another inch of ground on you. And once it takes everything, you will realize too late that you were the one who let it happen. You are your own greatest adversary, your own greatest obstacle. It is not the world that limits you, it is the self. The mind that tells you to stop, the voice that whispers you have done enough. These are the chains you must break. Demand more from yourself because no one else will. No one will care if you fail, no one will push you to rise. That burden, that power belongs to you alone. And when you carry it, when you embrace the weight, you will find that what once felt impossible is now within your grasp. To demand more is not a kindness, it is a cruelty. But it is a cruelty that strengthens, that hardens. If you are not cruel to yourself, the world will be. And its cruelty will destroy you, because you were not prepared, because you did not demand enough. Be ruthless. Tear through every weakness, every hesitation, until what remains is something unyielding. Something that cannot be stopped. There's no power in ease, no strength in softness. Demand more and take what the world would never have given you willingly. Each day you choose to push yourself is a victory, but it is not enough to stop there. Do not rest. Do not wait. Demand more and then more again until the self that once doubted, that once hesitated, is nothing but a shadow of what you have become. This is the path to power, not in waiting for it, but in demanding it and taking it and forcing yourself to rise to the level you know is waiting for you. The fire within you is not meant to burn quietly. It is meant to rage, to consume. Each time you demand more, you stoke that fire. You make it burn hotter, brighter. Do not fear the pain that comes with the fire. It is the heat that purifies, that strips away everything unnecessary. Let it burn through you until nothing remains but the unyielding core of who you are, the part of you that can never be extinguished. Every time you refuse to rise above, you weaken the fire that drives you. Strength does not grow in rest, it grows in tension, in conflict, in the refusal to let your own weakness win. The hardest paths are the ones that strip away everything unnecessary, leaving you bare and exposed. That is where you grow, not in comfort, but in the spaces where failure threatens to consume you. To rise above those moments is to leave behind the version of yourself that once hesitated. What you demand from yourself defines how far you will go. To walk the easier road is to remain small, dependent on external circumstances to shape your life. But to push, to take responsibility for your own evolution is to seize control of the narrative. Every step forward, every risk taken brings you closer to the force you were always meant to be. This is not an act of arrogance. It is an act of defiance against everything that dares to keep you stagnant. Do not give power to the voice within that says enough. That voice is a thief, stealing your future before you've even claimed it. They say destiny is written in the stars. I say it's written in the choices we make in our darkest moments. Look at yourself in the mirror. Not the physical reflection, but the shadow of potential that lurks behind your eyes. That version of you, the one you glimpse in moments of clarity. It haunts you, doesn't it? Because deep down you know who you truly could become. I've seen men break themselves against the walls of their own limitations, believing they've reached their peak. But let me tell you something about human potential that I learned in the darkness of my own evolution. The person you are today is in constant warfare with the person you could be tomorrow. Every rep you skip, every morning you choose comfort over conquest. Every moment you settle for good enough. You're losing battles against your greatest opponent, your unrealized self. The most dangerous adversary isn't the one standing across from you in the arena. It's the phantom of your potential that trains while you rest, that pushes while you pause, that rises while you sleep. This superior version of yourself, it exists in a parallel universe of choices. Choices you could have made, paths you could have taken. When you feel satisfied with your current progress, remember, somewhere in the realm of possibility exists a version of you that never settles. Consider the mathematics of human will. Every decision to remain in comfort is a victory for mediocrity, a triumph for the lesser version of yourself. Your potential self doesn't just work harder, it thinks bigger, recovers smarter, plans better. While you're celebrating small victories, it's plotting revolutions. While you're resting on accomplishments, it's building empires. The gap between who you are and who you could be, it grows or shrinks with every decision you make. The greatest tragedy in life isn't failure. It's succeeding at goals that were beneath your true capability. Your potential self understands this. It doesn't just put in more hours, it puts in more thought, more strategy, more audacity. When you're satisfied with lifting the same weights, it's visualizing new mountains to conquer. When you're content with your current knowledge, it's devouring books in the dead of night. The only person who can consistently outwork you is the one you refuse to become through your daily choices. In the depths of every great warrior's journey comes a moment of terrible clarity. The realization that their fiercest competition isn't external. The person you could become doesn't need motivation. It's driven by something deeper. The fundamental understanding that human potential isn't a fixed destination but an ever-expanding universe. While you're searching for shortcuts, your potential self is embracing the long game, understanding that mastery requires monastic dedication. Your potential self isn't just a stronger, faster version of you. It's a being that has transcended the limitations you accept as truth. It trains when you're tired because it understands that fatigue is temporary but regret is eternal. It studies while you scroll because it knows that knowledge, compounded daily, becomes unstoppable power. It persists when you pause because it recognizes that consistency, not intensity, is the true architect of transformation. The warfare between who you are and who you could be. It's waged in the silent moments when no one is watching. Your potential self doesn't need an audience. It performs its duties with religious devotion, understanding that greatness is built in solitude. While you're seeking validation, it's seeking evolution. While you're making excuses, it's making history. The only force capable of consistently outworking you is the version of yourself that you haven't had the courage to become. Rise now, not just as a warrior of the present, but as an architect of your own evolution. The gap between your current self and your potential self isn't bridged by wishful thinking. It's conquered through relentless action. Every moment you choose comfort over growth, your potential self grows stronger, more distant, more impossible to catch. The only person who can truly outwork you is the one you refuse to become through your daily surrenders to mediocrity. Let this truth burn into your consciousness. You are not in competition with others. You are in an eternal battle with your own potential. And in this war, there is no stalemate. You're either closing the gap or watching it widen. Choose wisely, for every decision you make is a vote for the person you will become. The tragedy of modern times isn't the lack of opportunity, it's the epidemic of passive protagonists waiting for their hero moment while scrolling through the achievements of others. Consider the heroes of history. They didn't wish themselves into legend. Every champion understood that dreams are merely blueprints, worthless without the raw materials of action and discipline. Each step taken carves away the illusions of who you think you are. Fear lingers in the idle mind, feeding on your hesitation. But fear is starved in the face of movement. The soldier does not contemplate courage in the heart of battle. The act itself becomes courage. To act is to silence the endless debate of what-ifs and turn them into what is. Action transforms doubt into certainty, shadows into light. Your identity is not a question. It is an answer etched into the chaos you conquer. Look not to the still water for your reflection, but to the ripples left behind as you wade through life. In action, there is no hiding. There is no pretense. It reveals the raw core of who you are, stripped of excuses. It is in the attempt, the struggle, and the failure that you emerge as something far greater than what you began as. Failure is not the enemy. Inaction is. A strike that misses its mark is still a strike, a testament to your will. But to stand idle, to falter when the moment demands resolve, is to surrender to mediocrity. Each attempt is a brushstroke and the canvas is endless. Perfection is not the goal. Movement is. Even the flawed strokes create the masterpiece of your becoming. Action is the sword that cuts through the fog of indecision. It is sharp, merciless, and revealing. In each movement lies revelation, a step closer to understanding the force within you. To hesitate is to fall victim to stagnation. And stagnation is the silent killer of dreams. The body in motion breathes life into the soul. Each decision sharpens its edge, each step strengthens its stride. To act is to rebel against the inertia of the world. The stagnant waters of apathy rise around you, pulling you toward nothingness. But action is defiance, a declaration that you will not be bound by fear, by doubt, by the weight of what others expect. It is the hammer that breaks chains, the spark that ignites a revolution within yourself. Your hands, calloused and stained from effort, tell your story better than words ever could. The dust of failure clings to you, but so does the fire of perseverance. Each scar, each bruise, each ache is a testament to the battles you've fought, the steps you've taken. To act is to build a fortress around your spirit, one brick at a time, forged from the heat of your own will. Even in darkness, action creates its own light. A single step forward can illuminate the path, revealing opportunities hidden from the passive observer. The unknown shrinks before the advancing stride. The timid may seek certainty before they move, but those who act know that certainty is a reward for the bold, not a prerequisite. The greatest victories are not in conquering others, but in mastering yourself. And mastery is forged through movement. To act is to wrestle with the chaos of existence and shape it into something meaningful. It is the declaration of your intent, not with words but with actions. It is the relentless pursuit of becoming, even when the odds conspire against you. Who you are is not written in words or thought in silence. It is carved in the consequences of your movement, etched into the wake you leave behind. Action is not a question of choice, but survival. To hesitate is to rot in the abyss of potential, where possibilities die and intentions mean nothing. In the stillness of inaction, the self erodes like stone worn down by the unyielding tide. Every step forward strips you bare, not to expose weakness, but to reveal strength forged in the heat of doing. The self does not whisper its identity, it screams it with every deliberate strike against the chaos of existence. Identity is not found. It is seized, shaped, and claimed through relentless creation. To act is to sculpt yourself from the raw clay of ambition. Motion speaks louder than the thunderous storms of thought. It disrupts the still air of uncertainty, cracking it open to birth clarity. Each motion is a declaration, a line in the sand, a war cry against complacency. Who you are is the sum of what you dare to create, to break, and to rebuild. Without movement, there is only the ghost of who you could have been. The battlefield of life is not kind to the passive. Inaction is a betrayal of your potential, the silent ally of mediocrity. To act is to ignite the dormant embers within and let them rage against the dull monotony of waiting. Who you are is forged in the crucible of decisions made under fire. When retreat seems easier, but progression is the only option. The weight of potential is suffocating when not released. Action is its only release valve. It is the antidote to the paralysis of fear and the erosion of dreams. By acting, you dismantle the barriers erected by doubt and circumstance, replacing them with pathways of purpose. To move is to defy gravity itself, elevating beyond the limitations of hesitation. Identity cannot be gifted or borrowed. It must be earned through relentless effort. Suffering is a shadow, ever present whether invited or unbidden. When you ignore it, it festers, creeping into your soul, hollowing you out from within. But when you choose it, when you grab it by the throat and drag it into the light, you bend it to your will. The unchosen pain will bind you, but chosen suffering will forge you. This is the nature of reality. indifferent and cold. Only the relentless can transform its cruelty into strength. Life does not pity those who wait. There is no hand that reaches down to lift you unless it is your own. If you do not hold the reins, the world will lash you into submission with obligations you never sought. To suffer by design is to take control, to rip the whip from its grasp and wield it against your own weakness. This is how one turns torment into a weapon and despair into discipline. Discipline is the steel in the backbone, but it is not gifted. It is hammered into place, blow by blow, choice by excruciating choice. Comfort will whisper in your ear, promising ease and relief, but its embrace is suffocating. The softness of comfort is a noose, tightening with every moment you indulge it. To push yourself is to cut the cord, to refuse its lies, and step into the fire willingly. There is no escape from the reality of effort. Every step unearned, every shortcut taken adds another weight to the chains you carry. Freedom is a paradox. It demands servitude to your purpose. To choose suffering is to bow before no one. It is the act of kneeling only to your future self, who watches from the shadows of your potential and judges your every move. Pain, when wielded, becomes a teacher. It whispers lessons that no victory can provide. It sharpens the mind and hardens the will. Those who shrink from pain live in the shallows, adrift and powerless. But those who plunge headfirst into its depths discover treasures unseen by the timid. Suffering chosen and embraced becomes the forge in which greatness is born. The world is unkind to the idle. Reality will crush those who do not meet it with resistance. To push yourself is not to fight against the current, but to command it. The unrelenting nature of life is not your enemy. It is the proving ground where strength is tested. Those who lack the will to push themselves are consumed by the tides, swept into obscurity. Chosen suffering is not a martyr's path. It is a declaration of dominance, a refusal to be swept aside by the whims of circumstance. When you push yourself beyond what others dare, you strip their power to dictate your worth. In suffering there is freedom, a savage, unyielding freedom that only the strong can claim. Reality does not reward weakness with kindness. It devours hesitation and rewards those who demand its respect. When you embrace suffering as your ally, you rewrite the terms of your existence. You cease to react to the world and begin to act upon it. This is the essence of power, and it is not granted. It is seized. Strength is not born in tranquility. It is clawed from the jaws of despair, wrestled from the hands of adversity. To be strict on yourself is to become the architect of your destiny, the ruler of your chaos. No one will push you harder than you push yourself, and that is how it should be. To depend on others is to kneel, and you were not made to kneel. The choice is simple yet profound. Suffer in submission or suffer in ascension. Reality will not change its nature, but you can change yours. When you choose the pain, when you master it and use it as a tool, you rise above those who let it consume them. This is the nature of power, unyielding and eternal. Suffering is inevitable. Mastery of it is not.